What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Millzy, back with the Hometown Commander. And we are back for another reaction episode to some news. This is something that I necessarily always want to do, but man, I was completely blindsided by this today, like most people were in the Magic community. And so I wanted to talk about two of the announcements we got today. Wizards did a weekly, their weekly Magic episode this week. Most of it was what most of us thought was going to be was to show off Phyrexia Alchemy, which is a arena only set that's relevant to arena, and that kind of stuff is normally cool, but it's not something that really affects Commander. But then we got the news that they were going to share something about Lord of the Rings, and I was like, well, that's great. The Lord of the Rings set's coming out. It'd be cool to see some more images. But today we got dropped upon us the announcement of Commander Masters, a Masters set directed exactly at Commander's players. Now, the joke online for most people is that every Masters is a Commander Masters set, because let's be honest, in Commander we have access to almost every card in Magic's history. But I really want to talk through what they announced so far, and then I want to talk about my opinion of the idea of Commander Masters, what I think we should expect, what we shouldn't expect, talk about some of the really cool things that were announced with it. Then we'll switch over to Lord of the Rings, see some of the things that got shared for it. Again, talk about my expectations, things like that. This is just going to be me musing about what I expect from these things. I have no inside information, know nothing about any of this. I just want to talk with you. I want you guys to know not really what I think about things, and there's gonna be people out there who don't want to know what I think about things, and that's completely fine. But I think this is cool, and it's a cool way for me to look back on what I predicted on things as well. So Commander Masters is going to come in August 4th, 2023, and again, guys, this was out of nowhere. No one saw this coming. No one knew, and the first thing that we see is a frame break borderless Jeweled Lotus. Jeweled Lotus, of course, was one of the most expensive mythics in Commander Legends 1 when it came out. It was a card that was getting heavily played in a lot of decks, and a lot of people were worried that it was going to take over for Sol Ring. It was going to be the new thing that everybody played. In all reality, because of the price, no one has. Jeweled Lotus is played in a lot of higher power decks because it helps blitz out your commander, just like the original Black Lotus did, right? Just like the original Black Lotus does in a lot of decks with surging you forward in mana. But in all reality, no one plays Jeweled Lotus to the level that people in the community thought Jeweled Lotus was going to be played. Well, I'm happy that it's getting a reprint. It's getting a reprint at Mythic, which is something we need to keep in mind. But the good part about new Magic sets, people like to complain so much about different frames and different variants and things like that. But I think the good thing this is going to do is it's going to get more Jeweled Lotuses out into the wild. We're going to have the standard Mythic, which is going to be the cheapest of these three. It'll probably bring the original price of the other one down as well. I'm not saying Jeweled Lotus is going to be $10 free tendies, but I think that Jeweled Lotus is going to come down in price for the people that really want it. Of course, this borderless Jeweled Lotus is going to take probably the new cake on being the most expensive version of Jeweled Lotus. Yes, we had the original extended art, and I'm sure that original extended art foil will stay pretty expensive, but I think this new borderless Jeweled Lotus will take it too. And then the second thing we saw was the Dragon getting reprinted with some beautiful borderless art. Same thing, multiple versions, the foil etched, the regular, and the borderless. Dragon, of course, a little bit less expensive of a card, probably one of the single most popular commanders in 5 colors, especially for the Dragon archetype. I'm excited to see this get a reprint. I was honestly pretty surprised. I actually kind of expected this to be in the extra bonus sheet that's going for March of the Machines. But I had a thought when I originally reacted to this, and that was that it seems like the indicators are pointing to this bonus sheet for March of the Machines going onto Arena, like the Retro Artifacts did from Brothers War and like the Mystical Archive did from Strixhaven. So probably they're only choosing commanders to be in this mythical, this mythical thing they're putting as the bonus sheet that they're willing to put on Arena. And it's probably that the other commanders that they don't want to put on Arena are probably going to get, I hope, reprints in pretty borderless art in this set. I have always held the opinion that I love borderless cards. I think the art is great. It makes the card look more fun. It just gives it more flavor most of the time. And all the more recent secret layers that it gives us, borderlesses of certain cards, I've genuinely liked them. Sometimes secret layer card choices have been a little off. But I've liked this borderless trend, pretty version arts for the people that want them. And I feel like for most of the cards that are getting these pretty borderless versions, we're also getting standard versions of the cards that are making the cards cheaper, hopefully, in the long run. So we saw the Ur-Dragon, and then we saw a card that, to be honest, I was kind of wondering if it was ever going to get reprinted, and that's Capture of Jingzhou. I'm going to guess there's probably people watching this video who have never seen this card before, and it's because this card was originally printed in Portal 3 Kingdoms. A set that had a really limited Chinese release a long time ago, and to be honest, was kind of a dumpster fire. But the more recent cards we've seen from that set that have recently gotten reprinted really well was 3 Visits, was in the original Commander Legends. That card went from like $50 down to $5 or $10. Imperial Seal recently got a reprint, and that came down pretty low and has been a lot more accessible for people. And Capture of Jingzhou is the last one. This is a card that I've wanted for a couple of my decks because, and I'm going to sound really elitist when I say this, but extra turn spells, especially the very good ones, tend to exile themselves after the spell is done resolving. The reason that is so that you can abuse them with flashback and things like that out of your graveyard. Well, of course, the two most popularly played extra turn spells for that reason have always been Time Warp and Temporal Manipulation, because neither of them exile themselves when they're done resolving, which allows decks with Lear decks or Kess decks to flash them back and do different things like that. What I really like about Capture of Jingzhou is it doesn't exile itself. So I think this is going to see play in those turnstile artifact, sets, because, or those decks, because it's another copy of that card that you're not worried about exiling itself. No, this isn't going to dethrone. This isn't going to dethrone Expropriate. This isn't going to dethrone Time Stretch. It isn't going to dethrone these 8-10 mana extra turn spells that are just behemoths for what they do. But what I think this will do is give this card a relevant reprint. I'm pretty sure this card sits at like $100 because its only printings, I'm pretty sure, are just that Portals Kingdom one and then a Judge card. So I think this is going to bring the price down an absolute ton. But my hope is that we see more things like this. Cards that could be relevant to the Commander format if they got decent reprints, like that 3 Visits, like Imperial Seal. And hopefully we see meaningful reprints. Now, of course, Imperial Seal was printed in double masters, but I've joked for a long time that every single master set we've ever seen has been a Commander set in all reality, because half of those cards are getting played in Commander as much as they're getting played in older formats. But so just 3 cards so far. I think they announced when preview seasons start. First look, it looks like May 16th. We get some preview events in stores, and then we get a launch on that. So hopefully they're going to be using our local game stores a little bit, since this is where Commander is played the most. But then we got this 4 pre-constructed decks. Now, in first look, I saw, okay, Eldrazi colorless, that's pretty cool. We have Abs and Enchantments. We have Jeskai or White, Blue, Red Planeswalkers. And then we have Sliver Swarm, a 5-color Sliver deck. And I thought, oh, okay, so they'll probably just reprint one of the Eldrazi Titans. We'll get Sliver Lord with a new art or something as the precons. But then I realized, no, these precons have new commanders for all 4 of them. These are completely new commanders. You can see them on the art in the box. And all of them have 10 new Magic cards, or 9 and the Commander new cards. This means for archetypes like Eldrazi and Slivers, they're getting completely new cards that we've never seen before, which is going to help those tribes. For the other 2, my hope, honestly, because those are the 2 that I'm the most interested in. I love Enchantress. I'm a huge Enchantress player, so I'm excited about the idea of Abs and Enchantress to some degree. And then I've been trying my hardest at a Planeswalker deck for a really long time, and so I'm excited to see Jeskai Planeswalkers specifically, because I think there's so much fun things you can do in those 3 colors with Planeswalkers. But those are the 2 that I'm going to be targeting the most out of these 4. But I am genuinely excited to see what the Eldrazi and the Sliver decks do for the community. These are archetypes that have never gotten Commander precons before. They've never gotten Commander support like this before. So I'm very excited to see what that actually brings out. We got some pictures of the product. We see Gisa here. We have a nice, pretty dragon right here. This isn't the Ur-Dragon, obviously, because we saw him appear. I think it looks kind of like it, but I'm not sure. So I'm not entirely sure who our dragons are here. I could take guesses, but I'm intrigued to see. Hopefully that means we get some of that. And then we have this absolutely gorgeous collector booster. Of course, we see Jeweled Lotus here. And then we see this. And this has gotten a lot of people thinking that Zacama is going to get reprinted in this set, because of course Zacama is a multi-headed dinosaur. So that's what people think these heads represent. I guess there is a world where it could be Tiamat, but I doubt it. I really think it's going to be Zacama, our giant our giant dinosaur friend. But there of course could be other options. But I love this. I love the aesthetic of this. The coloring reminds me a little bit of that coloring they did for Infinity, but I absolutely love this Jeweled Lotus art on the box, and then I love the idea of these pack wrappers. But there we go, coming out. We see collectible boosters, we see draft boosters, and we see set boosters. I'm really happy that these have set boosters because for most people, set boosters are the most efficient way to buy packs. You have a chance at extra rares. You get the art cards if you care about those. If you're someone like me, I care about the art cards, but you also get guaranteed foils and things like that. So I'm very excited to see that this product isn't just draft and collector like Dominaria Remastered. We get the set boosters. It's going to be a wider release, kind of like these Modern Horizons sets we've seen in the past. And so that makes me really happy. Coming out later this year, and just like every set, we'll be doing lots of Millzy brews on this in the future. All right. And then we get to Lord of the Rings Tales from Middle-earth. Now, this is a set we saw a while back. We saw some art for. But I don't think we ever truly got information on when this was going to be released. And we finally got information that this is going to be released at the end of June 23rd. But it's also coming out in some capacity on Arena. Oh, okay, actually, yep. So it's all of the same cards from the tabletop release. I thought they revealed before there was only going to be certain ones. So that's on me. I didn't read the article, but that makes me really excited to see what's going to come to Arena. If you're a Commander player that doesn't play on Arena, for me, I play a lot of Historic Brawl and Standard Brawl on Arena because it's the closest thing I can get to Commander on Arena, and I find actually some strategies are more fun in 1v1 Magic than they are in 4-player Magic, so it's kind of allowed me to play some different things, but I also, of course, play a lot of the same decks that I have in paper, or try to get as close to the same decks that I have in paper on Arena. But we see the set art here. Of course, anybody that's a Lord of the Rings fan is going to immediately recognize the rings, and I think those are pretty cool logos. We get a new starter kit, which seems kind of interesting. The one thing we have to remember about Lord of the Rings, that's different from Commander Masters, is this is a set that's going to be not standard legal, but legal and modern. So a lot of these cards I think are really going to be targeted at modern. If I'm going to go ahead and guess now, and I don't think it's an unfair guess, this set's really probably going to be a Modern Horizons 3 in all reality. It's going to be a set that's really targeted at modern, and just like each other Modern Horizons set, those cards are just going to leak into Commander because they're just going to be as good for Commander. We will get some Jumpstart stuff. We see column, and I believe that Samwise there on the art there, which is pretty cool. We see the pre-release kit looking great there. See draft boosters. We have set boosters with the Balrog there, and then we see the collector booster box here with our boy Frodo. But it has this interesting here, may include serialized ring card. Of course, we don't know anything about what that means, but I absolutely love the art on this box. I love Frodo. I love the art capturing the ring there and making, kind of that glow that we see from the ring in the movies. I think this looks really cool. We see the bundle, the standard bundle here, and then we did announce that this will be one of our gift edition releases for the year. So the gift edition, of course, comes with the standard bundle with an addition of a collector booster pack with it. So that's the difference between the gift bundle and the standard bundle, is just that extra booster, that collector booster. So very excited about the idea of this. Of course, we see Gandalf there on the eagle. They're saying that on Arena, we're going to get a whole mastery pass, a whole set of cosmetics, everything's. And then, of course, these will have commander decks, starter kits, the starter kit, which saw secret layer drops, and a bunch of other things. So I'm really excited to see what this set becomes. I think this is probably the biggest example we've seen so far of Universes Beyond. Of course, the 40k decks took the world by storm. A lot of people loved the 40k decks. So did I. There's plenty of things I enjoyed about the 40k decks, and a lot of people really loved them. But this is our first actual set that's coming out from the Universes Beyond title. So I'm very intrigued to see what comes of this, what we end up seeing as far as how cards are played in Commander, where we see the cards in Modern and some of our more Eternal formats. The one thing I'm excited, and I've been theory crafting the most on, is what we're going to see as commanders for the 4 decks. Is Sauron going to see a card as a commander of a deck? Is it just going to be heroes? How is this going to be split up? I'm very intrigued to see what they choose to do with the 4 decks and how they choose to represent it. Just in the same way, I'm very intrigued to see what they do later this year with the Doctor Who release and how they do those decks in similar vein to 40k. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think of Commander Masters? What do you guys think of Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth? I think these 2 sets look really fun. My advice, just like my advice to my personal friends, is don't overspend on these sets. These sets are really cool, just like Commander Masters. It's going to have a lot of reprints that are really going to suck you in. But the problem with most Masters sets are, for more casual players, you may get your value of some booster packs, but if you buy too much of it, you're not going to get the value. Master sets like this generally tend to be directed towards more experienced players who know how to use the secondary market to move their cards to get their value back from what they buy and that kind of thing. If that's something that you normally don't do, I wouldn't advise going too deep on Commander Masters. Wait and see what the singles are, buy them at the prices that they're going to come down to once they come out. If you're someone who normally opens booster packs, go wild. Master sets tend to be very much high risk, high reward. If you're willing to give in, if you're willing to give it, you're probably going to get it back as far as value goes. But it's not going to be 1 or 2 packs here or there. To get that value, you got to buy boxes. You got to, kind of put yourself in there. So if that's the kind of collector you normally are, go for it. The value will be here, especially in the collector boosters with these pretty borderless cards and all these things. And I'm sure we're going to see more. We've only seen 3 cards. If you look at what we saw for Dominaria Remastered when it came out, we only got to see 3 cards, and then look at what that set became. So I think this set will be packed full of reprints, but again, have caution. Don't dump all your money into it unless you really, truly want to. Collect how you want to collect, but I don't want anyone to be sucked in by the idea that this is going to be the perfect Commander set ever, because it won't. Every Master set has had its great things, and it's had its negative things. So, guys, that's all I have. Like I said, let me know what you think down in the comments. Drop me a like if you want to see more Commander content. We are brewing every day, trying to outbrew your favorite MTG channel, and growing as a brewer every day. Drop me a subscribe if you want to see that, and I will catch you next time.